All right, everyone. Welcome to the Purpose, Faith, and Gratitude podcast. I'm your host. I'm Ismail Muhammad, and I'm very grateful to have you here with us today. And the purpose of this podcast is to introduce you to regular folks. I'm a regular person. You, as a listener, are a regular person. And I want to bring to you regular people who've had challenges and learned to overcome them, whose life has punched them in the face once or twice, but have made the determination that I'm going to get back up and I'm going to win. So that's what this purpose is. This podcast is all about people that have been knocked down and gotten up. It encompasses what I strongly believe in and what has become my personal slogan, which is to beat your excuses to the starting line. And what that means to me is when life throws a curveball at you, when you're hit with challenges, you're looking at the other side, because you have learned and you have programmed your mind into believing that what is on the other side is going to be much bigger, much greater than the challenge that you are facing today. And when I decided to go on this journey with the podcast, I've had a lot of tremendous support, love, push, people even yelling at me to go ahead and get this thing going. And I'm very grateful to those people. So when I decided to take this journey, I was thinking about who am I going to have on this? And one of the people that kept on coming into my mind and saying, I have to talk to this guy, is a good friend of mine, somebody I've known for almost 40 years. I've seen his life, maybe from the last few years, from 30,000 feet. Today, what I wanted to do is kind of drop in, let go of the parachute, and see him, talk to him, get to know him better, because I think this is somebody that's going to bring value to you as a listener, as somebody who's a value for somebody who's going to be watching this. I think you're going to walk away inspired, and you're going to be encouraged. So let me introduce to you a good friend of mine, somebody whose life I have learned to just admire, Mr. James Stukes. Brother Stukes. Brother James Stukes. How are you doing today, my friend?
Good. I'm doing outstanding, brother. Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah. So it's so good to have you here. I know that, our history goes back. You have the Knicks behind you. One of the things that I remember from our early days. There you go. You got to represent. Hey, I live in Boston.
All the time.
I live in Boston, and I'm still representing my Knicks and my Giants. So sometimes it's not easy, but I think right now we're at a good point, right?
Yeah, it's a good time.
Yeah. And one of my fondest memories of you actually is, at the basketball court. When James Stukes was driving on the basketball court, man, you're not going to take a charge. You are not going to take a charge, because that knee is coming straight to your head. You're either blocking or you're getting out the way.
You remember that?
Of course I remember that. Yeah. So James, tell me what's going on. Let's catch up.
Um, pretty much working, man. Trying to I'm trying to retire sometime soon.
Okay.
I got my hand in a couple of different things, and I'm trying to put them in a couple of different more. Right now, I'm a sales manager at Westbury Toyota dealership. Um, I also I'm a co-owner with my partner Natisha Wallace, and my life partner, my partner. Um, we own a cleaning company as well, and and I'm raising two daughters. One with my wife that I'm separated with. My youngest daughter is living with her,
Okay.
and my 20-year-old daughter lives with me,
Right.
and it's a handful, and it's it's my life. But um this is what I prayed for.
Right.
So uh,
Yeah. I'm a father of a 16-year-old daughter, and
mhm,
it's an absolute blessing. And
mhm.
I'm I'm not the kind of father I thought I would be, right? So
Mm.
I thought I was going to
Mm.
be the strict father because my father was very strict, right? So I
Yes,
thought I was going
yes.
to be that guy, and
Mm.
but I'm not. And what kind of father did you think that you were going to be, and what kind of father are you now?
Um, I didn't think that I would be a good father at all.
Mm,
Um, where I was, um, and again, like you said, you look from afar, but I went through a lot to get to where I am now. So, um, and I was in the streets. I was in the streets, hustling and what everything that came with that street life. And I never thought um, about being a father or that I would be a good father. I mean, I didn't have a good father.
right.
Father was gone before I was before I was in
Mm,
kindergarten. So, it was me and my mom, and then when I got about 4 or 5 years old, a step father, my mother step remarried, married, and but I didn't think I would be a good father at
right.
all. But sometimes I still wonder if I'm a good
Right.
father. I definitely don't have all the
Right.
answers. So
And
uh,
like your childhood, how would you describe your childhood, or how would you describe your relationship with your mother?
um, that's a good question. My mom, well, I don't think she was ready to be a mom when she was a mom. She had me. She was 18 years old,
Okay.
and so uh, the best as I can remember, she was still going out to bars and parties and stuff like that. And my aunts, God bless the dead, all of them. My aunts, my mom's aunts, my great aunts, they raised me.
Right.
My aunt Louise, my Jenny, they pretty much raised me, um, making sure I go to school and stuff like that. Um, later on, my mom. Um, I want to say got it together, but years, it took. She'll tell you, before she found the Lord and stop, running the streets, stop drinking, stop smoking, and stuff like that. But it was years. It was when I was, you know, when she decided, or when the Lord chose to put her on the right
Mm,
path. I had been so deep in the streets and stuff like that at that point. So, we've always had a good relationship. It was really no headbutting. Um, once she seen, she, of course, like any mother that seen the way I was going, you know, she tried to talk to me and tell me but she seen that my mind was made, and I was one time to give me she took I kept doing stuff, little small stuff, and going to jail, getting arrested, little stuff. And she once told me, she was like, uh, why do you do this? You like, and she said, you're never gonna be like a Nino Brown or nothing like that. And it was,
even though you look like him.
and I don't know if I took that as a challenge. I don't know if I took that as a
Right.
challenge or not. Um, but m- my mindset from that time was like, I always had a leader mentality, but at that time I led people in a negative way. The people that were around me, I was a leader,
Right.
but I was doing bad stuff, and so once my mom seen that I wasn't gonna stop, and she seen how deep I was in it, I guess she pretty much I don't want to say she accepted it, but she accepted the money I gave her
Right.
that she knew wasn't good
Right.
money, you know. Um, so you know, but we always had a good relationship. Like we always had a good laugh, joke when we get together. We're always fun.
Yeah.
My sisters, brothers, we always have a good but you know
Yeah.
so now, right now, she's more into the Lord,
Okay.
and and we talk about that, and she sends me letters, and she writes. She still hand writes letters
Okay.
and sends me letters.
Yeah.
You know,
A little old
we
school.
talk on the phone. Yeah. So and always encouraging me, and so that she plays a major part in my life.
Okay.
You know,
And I'm sure she's very proud of what has happened and how your life has turned out. So and
I,
and God bless her.
yes.
You know. Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
Absolutely. And yeah, tell me. So when you were younger, in your teens and early 20s, right?
mm,
What kind of who was that James Stukes at that time?
well, teens to 20s. That was the turning point because um I made it. I made it through high
Right.
school. You know, I was I wasn't great, and I got into fights and stuff like that in high school. But I started playing football
Right.
in high school, and I was pretty good in football. Um, got offered some scholarships at different colleges and stuff like that. And so when I was 18, when I graduated high school and went away to college, I was uh I was a schoolboy, as far as for the most part. I was a schoolboy,
Right.
and that was I went away to college,
Where
and
did you go?
I went to college in North
Okay.
Carolina, uh, college, and it was good. It was good, and and that was my first. That was my first shot at
Okay.
independence, and I was
Right.
18. Uh, and before that, I went to school. My mom, my aunts, or whatever, sent me to school. Um, And by the time I graduated high school, I was living with my mom and everything, and she made me, get me through school and everything. Sent me away to college, took me down and enrolled me in college and everything like
Right.
that. And while I was in college, me and a friend came to visit me from uh, down in college. A friend
Oh yeah, my
yeah. So
man.
he came down to visit. He came down to visit me in college, and him, his mom, my mom, his mom, and my mom were like sisters.
And you
And
guys were like brothers.
yeah, we were like brothers. And
Exactly.
and Lenny Borden. I don't know if you remember Lenny
Oh yeah,
Borden. And
absolutely.
and Angela Mincy was my girlfriend at the time. I don't know if you
Yep.
remember.
Yeah. Absolutely.
They all came down to the college to see me play football. Came down, and when everyone left, he
Okay.
stayed with college campus. He wasn't going to school there. He planned to go to school there,
Right.
but like he wasn't doing anything in New York. They were me and him were
Right.
best friends in high school, but I went away to college, and he kind of fell into the streets. He
Right.
kind of stealing cars and little stuff like that. And he stayed with me on campus for about a month or so, eating, using my, because we looked familiar. We're both, I mean, similar. We both
Right.
dark skinned, had our little gold teeth, and
Right.
take my lunch card and go to the cafeteria and eat and everything like that. He lives with me there, and I believe it was Thanksgiving. It was Thanksgiving coming up, and the school was closing, and we didn't have a way to get to New York. I
Okay.
had money, but he didn't.
Okay.
So we came up with a plan. We came up with a plan that we were going to steal a car and drive to New York. So
Man, that sounds like a great idea already.
yeah, so our plan, it was another guy with us from Connecticut, one of my college friends that I met there,
Right.
and claimed he knew someone that would buy the car and give us $5,000 when we got to Connecticut, like where he lived in. So whatever, that we were 18, stupid, whatever.
Right.
We stole the car off of campus, brand new. This was an '88. This was a brand new 2088 car. Some young girl had got it as a college gift from her
Wow.
parents, and we stole it. We stole it off
Okay.
the campus. And long story short, we as soon as we pulled off the campus, a police car seen us pulling off, busted U-turn, followed us out, hit the lights. We had a big police car chase. Um, we end up running around a roadblock. Uh, the police fired shots at the car. We end up crashing the car in the woods. We got out. We ran through the woods. We stayed in the woods all night, and we got arrested the next morning trying to walk down the street. We were all bloody, muddy, and we got
Right.
locked. I lost my football scholarship. Uh, Went to jail. Um, Luckily, I only did 6 months time at that time, um, because they were trying to give me a lot of time. They were, claiming we were shooting at the police. It was a bunch of
Right.
large.
Right.
Uh, and I went to jail. Like I said, I lost my scholarship. And when I came home from jail, like the people that I knew in the streets that I knew that I grew up with in my neighborhood, they were in the street. They were hustling and selling drugs, and that's what I fell into.
Right.
And, um, from that time, from the time I was 19 to probably almost 30, but when the madness started, and that started the madness. Um,
Right.
every year, it seemed like every year I was being locked up or doing. I was just I was a mess. I was a
Right.
mess. I was a mess. I thought I was Nino Brown.
Right.
Literally, I thought I was Nino Brown, and
Yeah. And and there is a certain lifestyle that comes with it, right?
hmm
And there's a certain lifestyle that you probably have to keep up,
uh,
and and you
uh,
have to, and then you have to do more stuff in order to maintain that lifestyle, right? And
uh,
yeah, and so, uh, but it did, luckily it didn't last forever, right? And
no,
yeah, and there must have been a turning point for you, right?
uh,
Was it one moment or was it just
I
an
was gonna,
accumulation of
I was gonna,
moments?
I was gonna say there was a moment, and then the things that came. There was a time I got arrested, and with a lot of drugs, a lot,
Right.
and I thought I was never coming home.
Mm.
They, I got arrested in Hempstead, and they had the Hempstead police were doing a joint investigation with the FBI's, and
Well, you were on some people's radars, boy. When you get the FBI,
yeah,
that means you're on somebody's radar,
yeah. So they and
right?
then I got a couple of A felonies, and I really didn't think that I was ever coming home, or I didn't know, I didn't think I was coming home, and I remember this day, this specifically, of getting on my knees in my cell, and I
Mm.
prayed, and I prayed, and I prayed, and I prayed, and I cried,
Okay.
um, and after that, that time I was in there, um, I I went to a program in
Okay.
jail, shock. It was called Shock Program, and it's where non-violent felony offenders go, and it's more like a military boot camp.
Right.
It's, you got to exercise in the morning, and it's very strict, and you can't turn your head. You got to stand all kind of stuff. You got to be in bed by 7:30, 8 o'clock. You got to get up at 6 o'clock in the morning and run and exercise and we'll go to work in detail, and it's very structured,
Right.
very structured, very disciplined. Um, a lot of the stuff that I learned in there while I was in there, I still do today. Like some of the things when I do training. My job that I have as a sales manager at a dealership, I
Right.
train the staff, and a lot of the stuff the way I train them is in a military format. Like a lot of stuff that I do is stuff that I picked up and I
Right.
learned doing that. Um, and So, and I'm not going to pretend that was the last time, because
Right.
I still had a little stinking thinking going on. Like
Okay.
I would and when I was in jail, instead of me thinking about how I'm going to get out and get a job and do the right thing, I'll be in there thinking about how I'm not going to get caught this time. Well, this time I'm not going to. I'll keep the stash over here, and I'll these guys working over here, and I'll have these guys
Right.
on the over there. Like that's just that was the way I was thinking.
Right. Because you even though you had some clarity, you were still not there 100% yet, because a part of you was still street,
Mhm.
and you
Yep.
hadn't. Yeah. Okay.
Yep. So I I came home and from that program, and I was good for a while, and but the truth of the matter, you know no doors really opened up for me.
Okay.
You At least none. Like I was used, like you said, I was used to living a certain lifestyle. I was used to having certain things, and and I came home from there, and for a while, the fear, like, because the place that I was in, the shop is like a boot camp. They kind of almost implant fear in you about
Okay.
the outside, and if you don't do the right thing. So when I came home, I was like straight now for a while. I was kind of scared to do anything, and then
Right.
after a while it wears off, and I see everybody out, and I end up getting in trouble again,
Right.
violating it, right, violating that, and
Was it probation? Is that what it was, or parole?
lost parole.
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
I had been in a couple of years. Um, um, it takes the program itself is 6 months, but you're in jail for about a year and a half. All I
Okay.
was before I even got to the program. So
Right.
by the time I got there, I had spent a couple of years in there, and then I violated the parole, and I went away for a couple more years.
Okay.
And the last time when I came home was like in the end of 2003,
Okay.
and I remember I had went to this with work release. They
Right.
allowed me to the program I went through while I was upstate in the penitentiary. The program that I got into allowed me to qualify for work release. So
Okay.
when you qualify for work release, you go down to a work release facility. It's in Manhattan. It's still a jail. Um, but when you get there, they give you 6 weeks to find a job.
Okay.
Um, so I ain't gonna. The first couple of weeks, I was so happy to be out. I was looking for a job. I was trying to find my girlfriend and any other her friends, whatever. I just want to party and hang out. I was, so I was down the last 2 weeks, and counselor called me down into the facility office, and they were like, "Mr. Stukes, if you don't have a job in the next 2 weeks, you're going back upstate to the penitentiary." And so
Right.
I was like, "Okay." So now I'm pressed to get a job, and so I remember I was home, and I called a telemarketing a job I saw in the newspaper. Wait, they had newspapers then, and I called the telemarketing job, and I was going to go there for an interview. While I was on the phone, I mean, while I was getting ready for this interview, my cousin, who was in the car business, his name is Kevin Walker, he called me, and he was
Okay.
calling me about some. I think he was asking me about some weed or something. Another, and I'm like, brother, I'm not into that right now. I gotta find a job, else they're gonna send me back up
I,
state.
I'm on
And
parole right now.
he's like, oh well, I'm over here at this Infinity dealership. I'm a manager in the in the and if you need a job, come over here. I'll see if I can get you hooked up. And I went there. He introduced me to his boss. It was probably one of the very few black managers at that time in the car business, and he gave me a shot. He knew my background was, what my situation was, and for the first 6 months that I worked there, I used to get out of jail in the morning. They would let me out in Manhattan out of the jail in the morning. I would go to work. I work all day, and then I get on the train and bring myself back to jail at nighttime. And I did that for about 6 months. And the way God works is He made me have to do it that way, because had I not been in jail or had to go back to jail, I probably would have quit that job before I found out how good I could be at it. There was a lot of little racism stuff going on, and I didn't feel I was getting treated fairly. So I probably would have quit. I probably would have quit if it wasn't for the fact that I had to have this job, or make it work, or I was going to go back. So, and once he got me the job there, and like I was saying, I don't know, that I probably would have quit the job if it wasn't for the fact that I had to go back and forth to the facility. And I did that for months. I did it about for about 6 months. But
Okay.
by the time that 6 months was over, um, I realized that I could probably make a decent living doing what I was doing. I was pretty good at what I was doing. Yeah, I don't want to say I was a natural salesman, but I mean, I think maybe some of the stuff I did from the streets kind of, put together.
Translated.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know, but I learned. I was pretty good, and so as by the time I started selling cars, I was the top salesman there, like every month for about 3 years straight. I was the top salesman in that store. Um,
Really?
I I didn't want to. I don't know. It's something just I didn't want to fail anymore. You
Okay.
know, I wanted to be the best. Um, and I think it was by my second year in the car business when I had my first daughter,
Okay.
and I to this day, and I'm talking 20 years later. But since my daughter was born, my daughter's 20 years old now. My oldest daughter, and sometimes I talk to her about stuff that my previous life. I don't not nothing specific,
Right.
but I think she don't even believe me. Like I
Right.
think she's exaggerating, or yeah, like yeah, dad, yeah, yeah, you a bad guy, you a tough guy, yeah, yeah, because all she's known.
Well, if she sees this, I'll verify. He's telling you the truth.
Yes,
Okay.
all so
Right.
time she was born, I was in the car, so so 4, 5, 6 days out of the week, she see me in a suit and tie from the time
Right.
sometimes she was a baby. So she
Right.
has no, and my youngest one is 15 now, and she same. They like the
Right.
same way, like yeah, dad, yeah, yeah, you a tough guy, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Right. Okay.
But I don't know. I
Yeah. Go. Let's go back to when you started with Infinity, right? And the first few years, because I think you said something that's really important. You wanted to be great. You wanted to be the best.
mhm.
And where did that come from? Was that there all the time, or was that there? Like you were just desperate
Mhm.
because you just didn't want to go back to jail, back to that life.
um, well, I think in the beginning, I wanted to like I don't know if I kind of breezed past the fact that when I started in the car business, a lot of the managers, white managers, and
Right.
you know, like the guy that hired me, he got fired like after the first year or so that I was in the business,
Okay.
and the guy that replaced him was very racist, very racist,
Okay.
and
Right.
so there was a couple times, there was a lot of times that I wanted to quit. But I'm like, I'm not gonna quit. I'm gonna show them. You're not gonna defeat me. You're not. I'm
Okay.
good at this. I think I can be good at this, and I'm not gonna allow you to take that from me. I'm not gonna. So, I wanted to prove them. I wanted to, I wanted to be so good that it overcame their racism. Like,
Ooh.
because money, you know, as much as you might hate me, if I'm making you money, you got to respect me. You,
Right.
you see what I'm bringing to the table. Whatever you say, what you want to say about me when you get home, and well, but here
Yeah.
I'm gonna earn you.
A-
I'm gonna
After 5 o'clock, you can say whatever you want about me, but from 9 to 5 or 9 to 8, probably most of those
you
days.
respect
Yeah.
and what I do. So that was my mentality. Um, and then later, like I said, I had a daughter, and I wanted her to uh, see me. I wanted her to see her dad be successful. I wanted to see. I didn't want her to see what I was,
Right.
and I didn't really talk about. I didn't really talk about my firstborn son. Uh,
Okay. Right.
my firstborn son was my junior, James Stukes Jr. And I don't, I lost him, and he was born when I was in the streets.
Right.
So, like, when I wanted my daughter to see, like, I wanted her to see me be successful, so that she would go that route. Because what happened with my son, it was the opposite. Uh,
Right.
he saw me being
Street James.
James, and it was scary because I remember, I remember when he had to be no more than 4 5 years old, and my crew was in the house. The guys that ran with me, the guys that
Hmm.
that hustled with me and hustled under me, so to speak. Um,
Right.
and I came in the room and I walked in, and he was acting like me, trying to boss them around, tell like he was trying to emulate me, like what he see.
Right.
And I don't even know. I don't know. A part of me, I was, like, that's my boy, but part of me was like, what am I doing? Like, what am I?
Right.
And
Because you know where that road is.
yeah, and so in his life, what ended up happening was that he ended up getting in the gangs, and his mother and his mother moved him into Hempstead, in a neighborhood that was all gang stuff. So, and he was,
Hmm.
you know she took him from me when he was about 7 6 7 years old, and prior to that, he was going to school in Elma with me, with his mom, my mom. He was
Right.
living with my mom, and he was going to Claridge Carlson, all the good schools and
All
Elma,
the
good schools,
right.
doing well. And her jealousy when I got with my soon to be wife, later on to be wife, her jealousy made her come take him away, and she moved him over in that neighborhood, and it was all gang stuff, gangs and drugs
Right.
and everything like that. I remember just going to see him sometimes. I go to visit him, and he'd be out there, and all of the older guys smoking weed, uh, Bloods, gang guys, and he's sitting there, and they calling him Little Blood, and this, that, and other. So by the time he was 12, 13 years old, you couldn't tell him that he wasn't a Blood.
Right.
Like, you
Yeah.
couldn't.
The street got him.
Yes.
Yeah.
Uh,
Right.
uh, Later, his mom moved him because by the time he was 15, 16, his mother had got into some stuff, I guess, out there, and she took him up and moved him to South Carolina. And
Okay.
where she moved him to was a neighborhood that was all Crips.
Oh,
And from what I understood, that he used to have to, like, carry a gun to go put out the trash,
wow.
to that point. And um, so when I remember before he passed away, he called me, and he asked me. He said, "Dad, can I come up to New York to live with you?" And he was 21, and I said, "Absolutely."
Right.
And he said, I remember him asking me, "Can he smoke?" He said, "Oh, can I?" And I said, at this time I got my daughter. She's young then, and
Right.
I'm like, "No, you can't smoke. Like, why would you even ask me that?" So
Right.
so I don't know if that was the reason why he didn't come,
Yeah.
but a couple weeks later, the next time I spoke to him, he was with some girl. He had a girlfriend that he was supposed to be in love with, and they were getting married. And this girl had a newborn baby. The baby was like 2 3 months old. So I don't know how long he had been with this girl, and they talking about getting married and this that, and the other. But um, so um, I got a call in the middle of the night, about 3 o'clock in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning, and it was his mother, and she was screaming on the phone saying, "My baby's dead, my baby."
Wow.
And I kind of like fell out on the floor at the time because I really didn't understand what she was saying when I grasped what she was saying.
Right.
So to this day, I'm not 1,000% sure what happened.
Right.
There's two versions of the story of what happened. One, uh, the story that the police have was that him and his girlfriend, and this girl, she was in
Okay.
the military, and so she told the police that her and my, it was only three people in the house, her, my son, and there was my son's cousin or somebody, a family member that was downstairs in the living room.
Okay.
She was pregnant, so she was very pregnant, and they were upstairs, and she said the girl told her story to the police. She said her and James, they were arguing, and she told him that she was leaving, and he told her that if you leave, I'm gonna kill myself. And
Mm.
he didn't listen to him. She didn't believe him, or whatever the case may be. And she said she walked out the house. I mean, she walked out the room. This was upstairs in an upstairs apartment, a house. And she said by the time she got down to the bottom of the steps, she heard a gunshot, and she went
Wow.
upstairs, and she's seen him shot. So, um, but the other girl that was in the house with them, that was downstairs, said that she heard them arguing, and she heard my son clearly say to her, "If you're gonna shoot me, go ahead and shoot me."
Mm.
And she said it was quiet for a few seconds, and she said then she heard a gunshot, and she said once she heard the gunshot, she got upstairs as fast as she could get upstairs. And so when she got there, the girl was standing in the doorway saying, that James shot herself.
Right.
Um, this same girl saying that she never came downstairs. The girl saying that she came downstairs when she heard the gunshot. The other girl saying that she never came downstairs. So I don't know what happened. Um, to this day,
And nothing happened to the girlfriend. She was never charged.
she was never charged. I don't even
Okay.
ever really, because my son was in the gangs,
Right.
was into a lot of stuff when he was down there. So
Right.
they kind of like didn't really,
They just what? Yeah.
So
Just swept it under the rug.
yeah. So
I'm sorry, man.
say all of that, to say that I didn't want that to happen again
Right.
with my daughter. My daughters, I wanted them to see a different side of me, and
Right.
I didn't want them. I didn't want them raised. Although I don't blame Elmont.
Right.
I don't think I blame Elmont.
Okay. Well, you
But
know, uh,
product of our environment, like
what's that?
I was a product of my environment.
Right.
Like but
You know, it,
we all make our own decisions. So that's
right.
what I want to say. Blame Elmont. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of people came from Elmont and did a good stuff. You know,
Right.
but I didn't want to. I wanted to get my daughters. I wanted. I don't know if it's the fact that I didn't want to be there. I didn't want to be reminded of who I was. I didn't want them to know who I was. Maybe all of that combined, but I
Yeah.
wanted to move them out. I wanted to get them a house.
Right.
My mother never had a house.
Right.
So uh,
And and you did all of that, because you, I've started seeing your growth and your development, right?
mhm,
And especially like the last decade, right? And so when I see, and I hear your stories, and when I come back to visit, um, and I know what kind of a man that you are now, and that's why I wanted to make sure. I'm like, I don't care if I gotta kidnap you. I'm gonna, you're gonna get on my show, man. You're gonna get here because it's uh, because of just the transformation that happened,
but
right? And so, yeah, I think having children, it changes you. I know from my own experience, right? Um, I had, you know, not much of a secret, and I really don't even make it much of a secret. I had a drinking problem, right? And my ex-wife, we were just talking about that before, and she had enough of it, and my daughter was young, and I had to make that decision. If my daughter was going to grow up without a dad, you know,
Mm.
and because that's where because I had seen something similar happen to somebody very very close to my family just a few months before, like
Uh,
6 7 months before, who passed away. And and the thing about alcohol is, you die a very slow death and you bring everybody around you down with you, right? So I had to make that decision. And, so that's where my transformation happened,
mm.
and it started for my daughter, but now, my sobriety right now is for me. And I've been able to contribute and be of service, and think completely outside of myself, because I was completely all within myself, right? And that's what you were like, because you were just all about you and making that money.
That was it.
I mean, you probably justified it by saying, "Yeah, I'm giving some to my mom. I'm, making sure my friends got money. I'm doing this. I'm doing that."
I listen. That's exactly what I did.
Right,
There's a part of me that's I like. I did bad stuff.
right,
Bad. I don't think I was a bad, but like I never did ruthless stuff. I did
right,
that. I felt that I had to do in those situations, but I wasn't. I didn't go looking for trouble. I didn't start like I wasn't that like that.
right.
And again, like you said, I think I did a lot of stuff. Like, and again, I don't know if you know, but I used to. I don't know if you remember when they used to have the basketball games at the park and all the
Yeah,
different teams, and they had different jerseys and different teams and stuff like that, and they had coaches.
right,
I paid for all that stuff.
right. Nino Brown.
Right, I paid for all that stuff.
Right,
They'd have barbecues at the park, or one day we even had a bouncy house with llamas and little goats and stuff and out this stuff. So
right.
I don't know. Um, Again, that was me trying to deal with my, you know what I mean? Like trying.
Yeah,
I look at it as giving back, but it was just I don't know. I don't know if I don't know. I don't know. I was gonna say
yeah.
me if I did it for them or if I did it trying to take that burden off my like I don't know. But
Yeah, I think it's not just one simple answer, right? You it, we do things for a bunch of different reasons.
mhm,
There's a sense of hopelessness that comes with it, because now you caught that case out of North Carolina, employment issue. You're getting doors slammed in front of your face. Oh, this is something that's easy. That's good. I'm in it now, and so I'm making money. Okay, here you go, mom. Here go, friends. Let's go out here. Let's do this and let's do that, right? Um, but um, but you made that shift, and how has parenthood changed you?
mhm. Um. Well, I've even now like I've never
Mm,
one. I always try to lead by example.
right,
Like I'm not a preacher. Like I don't like even now if I go back to my old neighborhood, when I go out there, everyone they know me, they know what I've done before, but they know who I am now, and they
right,
see me, hey Black, what's going on, man? Everybody that's me up. Oh man, I see you on your Instagram. Oh, you do these funny videos. Oh, you're very funny. And
yeah,
and I thank them and I laugh with them. I joke with them. Um, I might even sit and talk with them for a few minutes, and then I'm
right,
going to do mine. But um, I don't preach. I don't go back to oh, you guys need to get off this street. You need to get
right,
like I'm not that guy.
right,
Um, so sometimes to a fault, I'm like that as a parent as well. I try to lead
mm,
when it's something I'm not. I don't know if what a lot of people don't know about me, and I'm kind of trying to overcome it. Even doing this right now is like I'm almost an intro. I don't know if I fit the profile of an introvert, but
okay,
I don't I don't. and a lot of people don't know, and I think it's my operating image, but I don't really feel comfortable around people.
Hmm. That
And a lot of
really.
people, I don't, and I'm by myself a lot, or with my
Yeah.
girl, or whatever the case may be. But sometimes I don't even. She'll tell you too. Like sometimes I just want my me space. Like I don't.
Right.
So I don't do a lot of preaching, and I try, when my daughters, certain times I gotta sit and talk with them, and I gotta make myself
Right.
talks with them. Uh, Sometimes my wife will tell me, "Listen, you need to talk to them. You need
Right.
got to talk to them," and then I make myself do it. But I try to lead by example. Like I try
Right.
the right thing. They see me doing the right thing. Um, but being a parent have has kind of pulled me out of that introvert. Like it makes me talk and sit down and communicate um,
Right.
when I really don't. You know, it's kind of weird. But
Yeah, and and I think having girls also makes you do that.
uh,
Because I think, and I'm not trying to generalize or anything, but I mean it's just from my experience, right? It's about communication. It's always about communication. It's not about you can't just hammer things into into their heads. It's like you have to
yeah,
listen. You have to explain. You have to listen, explain,
yeah,
right? Yeah,
yeah. And girls, it's tough too. They're
yeah. You don't have to tell me, bro.
she
Yeah. No, but I love watching, your social media videos, with your girls, and I know, they're incredibly talented, and but uh, uh, they bring out that silliness in you,
yeah,
and and I could tell that uh, you have a great relationship with them. They have you wrapped around their finger like crazy. You're done, right?
that's a
You're done.
fact.
So
That's a
yeah,
fact.
yeah,
Like I started off saying before, um, where I'm at now,
right.
um, I'm looking for new challenges,
Okay,
and where I'm having a problem is not having a problem, but what I did before to motivate myself, I don't. I got to find new motivation
right.
because uh, I have I had that time I was in my cell when I prayed and I prayed and I was on my knees and crying. And to this day, right now, I have every single thing that I prayed for. Every single thing.
You got things that you didn't even pray for because you didn't even know how to even ask for these things.
And now I got to find a motivation in myself to do more because
Right.
I have everything. I have everything that I prayed for. And um, if someone
Yeah.
me 20 years ago, 25 years ago, um, that I'd have a not one but two houses, uh,
Yeah.
two Mercedes Benz,
Right.
um, two beautiful daughters, uh, handsome son,
Yeah.
beautiful girlfriend,
Right.
income where I'm wearing suit and tie every day, uh,
Yeah.
owner. Um, if someone would have told me, uh, if someone would have offered me half of what I have right now, 25 years ago, if someone would have offered me half and said, "You take this, but this is all you can ever. You'll never get more than this," I would have signed
Deal.
half
Right.
of what I have now and said, "You give me that, I won't ask for anything else for life."
Wow.
And I would have signed up for it.
Yes.
So and now I'm here. Uh,
Yeah. God has answered prayers that you didn't even know how to pray for. You
that's
know.
that.
Yeah. And that's how I feel. Absolutely. And I've had challenges the last couple of years with my dad dying and my younger brother passing away unexpectedly. But it's but I've also uh, started looking and asking myself, what is my purpose now? And that's why I named this podcast "Purpose, Faith, and Gratitude." Um, because I have to have a purpose for something, and and when I say faith, I don't mean faith, in a religious term. Faith in a spiritual term, but I guess probably religious too. That I know my purpose will happen. There is faith that is going to happen, and I already have gratitude for it. So I'm already there. So
Living like but I know there's
yeah,
more. I know there's more.
yeah,
More.
yeah.
Sometimes
And I think
I'm trying to figure.
you have just I think uh, you have just scratched the surface, man. And one question I would have for you, people always say, what would you say to your younger self, right? But what would your younger self, like the 25-year-old James Stukes, say to the 50-something-year-old James Stukes now?
Well, you could have prepped me for this question.
Right.
What would the 25-year-old James Stukes say to the 50? What would, because I could reverse that and I probably could.
It's easy.
What is what would the 25-year-old James probably would have just admired the 55-year-old James, but
Yeah.
probably wouldn't have thought that. Probably would have thought it was BS. Like, nah, you know, uh, you know.
Yeah.
I don't know how to explain it, but I just the 25-year-old James still didn't believe that this was possible for me. Like,
Yeah.
so if I see anytime I saw successful people, that older people that were that I deemed successful, you know, I admired them. Uh, I wanted to be like them, but I never really thought, you know what I mean? I never thought that I could be, you know,
Right.
that, you know, when I remember when I first started in the car business, my first year in the car business, I made now granted this was in 2000, beginning of 2003, and
Yeah.
I make my first year I made $50,000, and
Okay.
I thought that I'm there, like I'm
Okay.
$50,000 working, and then my next year I made $80,000, and I'm like, yo, you couldn't tell me, like I mean I think I make as much as doctors, Now I'm
Right.
$15,000. I made my third year in the car business. I made $115,000, and I just remember thinking that I was on top. Like I'm like 150 now. Like
That, I'm a baller.
yeah,
I'm Mr. International now.
yeah. But and then
Yeah.
I let them talk me into taking a job as a manager, and I didn't know anything about that. And my
Okay.
manager, I made 80,000. I was back to 80 again.
Oh, you took a pay cut.
I made less money as a manager, working more hours and more
Right. And bigger headaches.
bigger headaches and everything like that. But I
Right.
figured it out, so
Yeah.
good.
Man.
Yeah,
This, this has been like such a great experience for me, James.
yeah.
You know,
I wish we had time to go on for hours because it's so much. Like you said, I'm just.
well, you know what?
I might
Uh,
have a podcast and do it like tell a story every week or every month. Tell someone.
no, 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 no. You better not, because you're going to come back as my guest, man. No, no, you're gonna come back as my guest.
I got to get to the next level so we have something to talk about.
Yeah,
Remember when you were there, and then now you're here. So
yeah,
that's a goal of
yeah,
mine. Next time I'm
yeah,
on.
absolutely. And my goal is for you to come back on like episode 100, and uh, and I'll get a lot better,
Yeah.
and this would be a much better platform. So yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to it. Before we sign off, like I told you, that my motto is beat your excuses to the starting line, right? How do you beat your excuses to the starting line?
Um, I keep is a few little things, and like I said, a lot of things I picked up when I was in this program and stuff. But
Right.
a couple little slogans I keep in my mind. Um, this too shall pass is one of them. So any
Okay.
something hard or struggle or something like that, I don't dive. I don't let that bury me. I don't because I know a week from now, a day from now, a month from now, I won't even be that won't even be an issue anymore. It'll be something else that's bothering me. So it ain't no
Right.
losing all my hair and turning all gray and stressing.
Right.
Um, that keeps me. Um, I also keep in mind. I always say you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. Any
Okay.
you don't take a shot, you miss the shot.
Right.
You got to take a shot, and you're gonna miss shots. You're gonna miss shots, but when you hit, you know what I'm saying. When you hit,
Yep.
like
Yeah.
you know, um,
Yeah.
another one of the things I'm big on is the serenity prayer.
Right.
God grant me the serenity to accept the things I can't change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Um, I live by those things. Like I live.
Absolutely.
That's why I don't stress out. I'm at work. I'm not. You know, my team. They know I manage them, and sometimes I manage hard. Um,
Okay.
but they know if I'm in their face about something today, and we handle it today, they know I'm not coming in tomorrow giving them an attitude. They know
Right.
today we handle that.
Right.
Let's move forward. We got money to get. We got.
Yeah.
I don't carry work. I'm not carrying a grudge over. We're gonna not be speaking and stuff like that. So
Yep. Exactly.
um, I I just know you miss every shot you don't take. So I don't
Yeah.
just um, I, you know,
Well, you got the Knicks to stress you enough. You don't need anything else.
it's my boys. We take the championship this year. We going.
Well, let's keep our fingers crossed. All right. I'll definitely be wearing my Knicks jersey and hats up here in Boston if we win it.
Oh yeah, well
So
we'll be playing Boston in the next round.
the next round, absolutely, absolutely.
May take a trip down to Boston.
Hey, yeah. Well, you know, I'll leave you off with this. When my dad, I don't know if you knew my dad, right? But maybe just a little bit. But uh, January of 2023, he was 82. He went in for a minor surgery, right? He had a blockage. And he had the same thing about 20 years ago. They went in, snip, snip, took it out, and we were expecting that to happen. So, so right before the surgery, the doctor walks in, and he's looking at his papers, and he's like, "Oh, you're 82." It's like, "Oh, what are you doing in your retirement?" And my doc, my dad says, "Retired?" It's like, "Yeah, you should be retired, right?" He says, "No, doc, I'm not retired." It's like, "Why are you still working?" And he says, "Doc, I love what I do. I eat at the best restaurants. I fly anywhere I want to fly, when I want to fly, eat, stay at the best hotels. I do what I want to do." And that was and then he went in for a surgery. He had a major stroke. His lung collapsed. He was, he was on a ventilator and then trachea for a few months, and then he passed away. But that was the last lesson that he gave us, and that was the last lesson I took from him. So that's when I said, okay, that's what I want my second, this phase of my life to be now.
That's right. That's right. That's right. That's one of the things I don't like. I don't. That's why with the car business, what I
Yeah,
do, um, I I don't. I mean, I don't want to work. I'm not like your dad. Where I want to work. However, if I have to work, I really love what I do.
okay,
I could be, if it was my goal to be um, a general manager of a dealership or
yeah.
ships or owner of dealerships. If that was my passion, if that was my goal, I could have been there right
You could do that. Yeah,
with that now. I could have been there already. But what I love about what I do now, what I've been doing, is I love I change so many lives. Like these,
yeah.
I hire I hire salespeople that had no sales experience, um, no school. Some of them been to college a year or two and they're not working out, or from all walks of life. Some people didn't have, staying on a friend's couch somewhere. Like I've changed so many people's lives, hiring them, training them, and watching them grow. Like
Mm,
I love watching a salesperson, someone that I've hired, trained, and watch them grow up and be managers, finance managers. The guy that I work for now used to be one
mm.
of. He's the general manager of the store because that was his passion. He wanted to do it. And he drove and he got there, but it
Okay,
was his boss.
okay.
And but that is my joy. I love seeing. I can walk into almost any dealership, at least around New York, and I know someone in there knows me.
Mm,
Somebody I hired or thank. Sometimes people thank me and I can't even remember that. Like I got a bad memory, but they think, oh man, you changed my life. You did this and that. And that's it for me. Like I love that.
w- well, and without even realize it, you found your purpose, maybe.
Maybe
Because
mom thinks
uh,
not my mom, but her too. So there's people that think my calling is being a pastor of some sort. They think that's might be.
hey,
I don't
you
know.
don't know.
I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, you don't know. But I think we make God's job easier when we are of service to our fellow brothers and sisters.
That is a fact. That is a fact.
Yeah,
That's a fact, man. I'm
yeah,
you had me on here, man. And I appreciate you. Um,
yeah,
maybe
yeah. This was supposed to be 30 minutes, man.
how long has it been?
Sheesh, it's over an hour.
Oh man, and you made me uh, go back into some thoughts and emotions that I haven't dealt with in a long time.
Yeah.
You know,
Yep. And I know that we touched on things that I wasn't expecting.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. No, no, it's all good.
Yeah, but I'm
Uh,
whenever you need me, once I get to that next level, then I'm
yeah.
ready to come back.
No, no. We're definitely going to do a part 2 and part 3. We're going to keep going with this. We're going to milk this.
Oh, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
All
appreciate you.
right, brother. Yeah. All right, man. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
All right, brother. Love, man.
All right.
Love.
Same here, man. Thank you. All right.
And there are some other people that like music kind of mellow.